Oh, hello. I'm Caitlin Doolittle, a reporter with the Star Observer and Western Wisconsin Journal. RiverFest is returning to Hudson from beginning on Tuesday, July 16th through Saturday, July 20th. To learn more about this year's theme, I'll be chatting with Anne Thundercloud, part of the Ho-Chunk Nation from Black River Falls, an apprentice chef at Wild Bearies in Madison, Wisconsin. Rick Frazer, chef and owner of Black Rooster Bistro in downtown Hudson, and Lindy Carroll, sales and marketing coordinator at Petawatomi, yet again, the Forest County Petawatomi Farm near Leona, Wisconsin. To start the program, let's set the table with Native American history in the Hudson area. Hudson is located on what was once native land. This year's event will include a land acknowledgement that the Hudson Women's Club crafted in conjunction with a plaque restoration they coordinated earlier this summer at Lakefront Park. The plaque, which was originally installed in 1932, reads, Duluth passed here in 1680 en route from Lake Superior to Mississippi. The area was a Sioux Chippewa battleground in 1785 and fur trade post in 1792 with the Menominee Indians. The RiverFest Native American program will be from 1 to 4 p.m. at the bandshell in Lakefront Park on Saturday, July 20th. Attendees will gather by the river for a cultural celebration with dancing, singing, and drums. Presented in partnership with the Native American Tourism of Wisconsin, the afternoon will include appearances by the Iron Mound singers and dancers from the Ho-Chunk Nation, headquartered in Black River Falls, and the St. Croix Chippewa Indians of Wisconsin, headquartered in Hertel. Powwow-friendly food will also be for sale by the Mose family. What's trending nationally and therefore what's new at RiverFest this year is Native American cuisine. For foodies at home, you may have watched the Top Chef, the national television series airing this spring on Bravo. Top Chef filmed throughout the state of Wisconsin last year, and the series started airing this past March. On episode 9, titled The Good Land, had the competing chefs making dishes with only ingredients used by the region's indigenous peoples. Guest chef judges for the episode were James Beard Award winner, Twin Cities restaurant owner, and author of the cookbook The Sioux Chef, Sean Sherman. The guest chef was second guest chef was Elena Terry, the executive chef and founder of Wild Bearies in Madison. Terry is Ho-Chunk and Prairie Band Potawatomi, and created an educational and community outreach organization that strives to bring ancestral foods and mentorship programs to tribal communities. So, Anne, can you please tell us all about yourself and share your journey thus far with Wild Berries?
Sure. Thanks for having me. Um, as far as wild berries goes, I kind of like to go a little bit back to my childhood. Growing up, we were a large family, and we received the U.S. commodities from the government. And in my own little opinion, they weren't, the healthiest things that they were providing to us, although, it was appreciated and we got by. But growing up, when my mother was a single mother, and so we spent a lot of time with my grandmother while my mother was pursuing her education and working to provide for 4 children. And while doing so, my grandmother took me berry picking. She had a garden, and I would go grab the things from the garden, bring them inside and clean them up. And I used to just be amazed, like, wow, she grew this herself. Here we are. And I saw her make things from scratch. I saw her um, cut up deer meat, clean fish, all those things. And I just thought it was really amazing that she seemed so self-sufficient, being able to use things that I mean, anything she could to and preserving food to provide for her family. And so then, um, fast forward into finding out that Elena had pursued her culinary arts degree and was a rising chef. And I saw the things she was doing, and she and I are related very closely. Ho Chung Wei, she's my daughter. I think she might even be a little bit older than me. And I saw what she was doing, and I just really enjoyed it, and I wanted to help her. At the same time, I was working with Ho Chunk Housing Community Development Agency, and they had this organic gardening program throughout the Ho Chunk community spread through Wisconsin. And I volunteered my time to help weed because I'm OCD and I enjoy pulling weeds. Another weird, meticulous thing,
Someone's got to do
like plating.
it.
And anyway, all these things just kind of started to move along together. Then you also saw the rise of the Native American food sovereignty movement. I don't know how long it's been in existence, but it seemed as though once I, joined forces with them, I just saw the rise. And then, like you had mentioned, Chef Sean Sherman, and he just, he blew up with popularity. His book, going to see him speak, meeting him, ending up getting to work underneath his direction during a food sovereignty conference, and I got to meet like a whole bunch of people at a food sovereignty conference hosted by the Pequots in Connecticut. So there's just like all these different things since I've joined them, and it was basically it's all been out of um, interest in our health, keeping traditions alive and feeling a connection to my grandmother and feeling a connection to this land. And the biggest thing for me personally is I believe that returning to our ancestral foods are going to bring us wellness. They're going to get us back to the people that we should, the healthy people that we should be, rather than plagued by heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, all these other things. And that's my hopes in helping to educate people
Mm.
and also using our ancestral foods in new, different, innovative ways. And that to me is also really exciting as a mentee. Chef Elena opens up the door to so many talented Indigenous chefs across North America. And it's just really exciting to be a part of.
Yeah, yeah, that all sounds amazing. What are just some things that like you've learned along the way? You're like, wait, I didn't know how this ingredient could be used this way. Is anything that's been like shocking or interesting that you've learned so far?
Exactly. Um, we kind of have like our go-tos that I grew up with.
Mm.
We've had wild rice with various vegetables and chicken in it. You can have it as a soup, you can have it as um a casserole, hot dish. And those are basically the only ways that I've had it. But now that I've been working with Elena and Wild Berries, I've seen her make marshmallows out of wild rice. Um, I've seen it used in so many different ways as a dessert, pancakes. I've seen it in bread and just all kinds of different things that I never would have thought of. And then all of a sudden, like your mind's blown, and you're like, "Oh my God, I never thought, of doing that."
Mm.
And one time, I decided to make horchata out of it,
Yeah.
and I made it with wild rice, and it was awesome. It tastes like just regular horchata, but it had just a little bit of that wild rice flavor.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing that is it just opens your mind to like, wow, I never thought of using these ingredients in this way.
Mm.
And that's the most amazing part for me.
Yeah, yeah, something that you would traditionally associate with like savory can be manipulated to like sweet and like all that. Yeah, just the possibilities are endless. That's awesome. Yeah, moving focus to Rick, can you tell us more about like how you got involved with this year's Riverfest and also your business at Black Rooster?
Yeah, my wife and I opened Black Rooster about 2.5 years ago now, to kind of fill a void that we felt was missing with a little more elevated classical food. Um, and when I was approached to be a part of this program, I took it as I kind of look at everything when it comes to cooking because I'm kind of a cooking nerd. It's the only thing that I've jumped into and wanted to continue my knowledge in. Right after high school. To me, it was kind of a no-brainer. It was kind of uncharted territory. I'd read Sean Sherman's book. I'd met him a couple of times through my time through Minneapolis. And it, like Anne just said, it was interesting, and it is still interesting, how many different ways these things can be used. Just watching the Top Chef yesterday, there were a few more things where I was intrigued by what they were doing, and I thought to myself, I need to try that, or I think this would be a cool way to try to experiment with using these ingredients. And it also stems from, much like Anne, I spent a lot of time with my grandma who had a garden and spent a lot of time just picking vegetables off the plants and eating them and falling in love with that. So when I was approached, it was kind of, for me, it was a no-brainer. It was, one, educational, and two, I like the challenge of figuring new things out. I've cooked with wild rice working in Minnesota so many times, but it's always wild rice soup,
Yeah.
or it's always the same old thing. So I never really thought about the versatility of it. And then last night I rewatched the episode, and there was a guy making dumplings with it, kind of like an Italian gnocchi. And I was like, why didn't I think of that? Why am I not thinking more like that? So for me, it's more of it's a push educationally. And then when I learn something, I love to pass that on to other people. Like, here's a new way to do this, or a different way to look at that. So that's a big reason why I agreed when I was approached to jump into this.
Yeah, just kind of broadening your horizons, and just kind of, is there other cooking styles that you were like interested in, or I don't know, just like different ways of cooking that you've also like kind of expanded or are interested in kind of diving into at all?
It kind of, it's just something that it hits me inspiration wise. I've had a pretty lucky run of meeting and working for some pretty cool people. So I've learned a lot of different ethnic cooking. This was one that I hadn't had a lot of experience with, which is what drove my curiosity even more. It was very interesting reading Sean's book and watching the episode again last night, how many of these vegetables I've seen over my career and never once linked the two together. And then again, like I said, taken those ingredients to the levels that Sean and other Indigenous chefs have taken them. So for me, it's more, how can I help them further what they want to achieve? And if that's something as simple as me making a dish in my restaurant and then educating people as they eat it in my restaurant,
Right.
and I'm hoping to do just a small service to them, furthering their desire, which is, I believe it's something that needs to be more on the forefront. Sean said it in the episode. He's surprised that it's not as known as Italian cooking, or French cooking like I do, or Asian foods. It's part of this country, and it needs to have its spotlight.
Yeah, absolutely. And like for you with your cooking class, you'll be able to like have that similar impact that Rick wants to have with his work. Sharing and just having discussions about that. Can you tell us more about the cooking class you'll be doing at Grand Fet?
Oh, sure. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to be using a variation of recipes that I learned from Chef Elena. And actually, I ran them past her and told her what we were doing. And she's like, okay, perfect. Sounds awesome. And what we're going to be doing is a seed crust tart with chia wild rice pudding, and then just a little bit of a fruit drizzle on top, a berry drizzle on top with some fresh berries. So the seed crust is really, really interesting to me because the first time I had it, it was in the form of a cookie. And I tasted it, and she's like, there's no flour in it. I'm like, what? Get out of here. So basically, it's just a mixture of nuts and maple syrup. And then they can form into, any type of form you want, whether they're a cookie or a tart. And they're kind of cute when you make them into tarts. And then also chia and wild rice. And the fun thing about the way that we work is that we don't use white sugar. We don't use butter. We try to, who doesn't love butter? Yeah, we're going to have a little butter sometimes. But, we try to adhere to the mostly indigenous products as much as possible. And then if not, then they're all locally sourced and organic. So that's the thing I love about learning from Chef Elena, is that they're very healthy, high quality products that we use. And I'm happy to share. And when, like we talked about before, being able to open people's mind and think, wow, I never thought that was possible. Who would ever think that indigenous food would be, this level and so pretty and healthy?
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And for Anne and Rick, you guys will be joining forces also on the 20th about having like a little meet and greet. Can you tell us more about what that all entail and what you guys will be discussing?
Yeah, for me, I'm I'm going to be here for people to meet me, but I
Mm,
think in this capacity, it's more important for people to talk to Anne, to
mm,
understand what she's trying to achieve and what Wild Berries is trying to achieve. Um, and just to speak to what Anne was saying, the fun part of all of it is I look at what we do on a daily basis. So much uh, there's so many people coming in, including my mom who has celiacs, and to learn that wild rice can be used in a way to omit the flour is something that for me too, I look at my menu every time I write a menu, and it's how can I eliminate the top 5 allergens so every single person can eat at my restaurant and feel that they're not getting a different meal than everybody else at the table because of their their allergy.
mm, mm.
So this, as I said before, is such a huge learning opportunity for me to see different ways of doing what I do.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and is there anything that you are specifically looking forward to talking about, like meeting with people? I know there's the food is medicine concept. Can you like touch more about that?
Sure, just like I talked about earlier,
Mm,
um, I firmly believe that food is medicine and it has the ability to heal us or not heal us. You know, there's a lot of health problems that my people have, and a lot of it is related to the food that we consume and how much of it we consume. And if I'm able to even open one person's mind to get them think about different ways that they can eliminate those um, processed foods, you know, I mean, even just a little bit, just to, you know, impact them just a little bit, and I'll be super duper happy. And then you had mentioned I'm not even going to try to say it, the Potawatomi Farm.
mm,
And I wanted to touch upon the food box program that Wisconsin has. And there's also an elder food box. And I have a lot of elder friends. My father is an elder, and they're recipients of it. And sometimes we get some different products in there that people don't know how to use.
mm,
And so I like to take my own little personal social media, and I'll make different items out of them just to, you know, try to um, impress upon people the different ways they can use them. We had a whole bunch of root vegetables and some bison that we got, and I mixed them up and I turned them into empanadas. And somebody said, "Oh my God, that blew my mind. I never would have thought to do that." And I was like, I probably never would have thought of it either until I started working with Wild Bear. So there's, you know, just to be able to open people's minds up. I mean, I'm
mm,
sure we all have our go-tos, you know, as home cooks, you know, spaghetti, you know, all these other things that we like to eat on our usual menu. And then hopefully,
mhm.
you know, open up people's minds to, you know, try some new things.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those empanadas sound so good. That sounds like amazing.
I have pictures.
Um, yeah, awesome. Yeah, and you were talking about talking about earlier just like sourcing local ingredients and going about foraging and harvesting your own foods and for meals and also like for medicines. Can you talk about how everyone can do that? Like what does that all entail?
Sure, it just takes a little matter of research, excuse me, and asking people. And sometimes there's classes. I'm fortunate enough that I've been to them here in Wisconsin and then also in Nebraska. Um, People offering classes, and a matter of finding out, and just don't eat anything bad. And one of the things that I always talk about when I talk about wild berries is our people have always told me I grew up with this understanding that the creator put everything we need right here in our homeland here in Wisconsin. And I used to think, well, where's all the medicine? And how do I, how do I learn about it? And I asked my father, I said, is it all right if I learn about medicine? And he said, yeah. And well, and the reason why I said that is because culturally, we can't just willy-nilly go and do something. We have to have permission to do certain things. And I thought it was appropriate to ask my father if that was okay for me. And he said, yeah. So then I've started to learn about the different things, and I've always kind of leaned a little bit towards natural as opposed to other ways. So finding teas, finding roots, finding mushrooms, all these other things. And it's fun because I love nature, and nature is such a great way for us to reconnect to ourselves and ground ourselves and get healthy. So, I mean, it's all a win-win, all these things that, we're involved with. So, and
Mhm.
it's good for our heart, our spirit, our bodies, and, mentally, everything. It's just, it's a lot of fun.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I love that. Um, and returning focus to Rick, you have a special menu item. Can you tell us about what that is and how did you go about the recipe development process and the things you learned along the way?
Yeah, we're going to be running a seared lake trout with uh, wild rice, a little sour sap, if I can find it, and some squash, some roasted squash. I wanted to do something that wasn't too out of the box, so people still want to buy it and consume it and understand that these are things that you can find readily at your stores and you can do something like this for yourself. Um, I also I didn't want to commit to it. I'm still kind of on the fence about committing to it right now. I might do something that's a little more obscure as well that day as kind of a second special, maybe like an appetizer or something that's a little bit more for the food adventurer, something that, oh, I want to try this, because we do kind of have a reputation with some of our customers of people coming in and saying, oh, I don't like Brussels sprouts. And it's like, just try them, try these ones, you'll like them. And then we change minds doing that. So I feel like while I have one dish that I know that we've cooked trout here before and people have really enjoyed it, to maybe step outside a little bit and do something like a bison tartare or elk or something like that also. Um, so yeah, so it basically just came about from looking through Sean's book and then doing some research online of the tribes that were in this region, what they used, and what they grew, and hunted. I found out that it wasn't as much a hunting culture. There was a lot more fishing and growing and foraging, which I think is awesome because I like, my wife and I have taken a few foraging classes. I've always, as a chef, I've always looked for mushrooms. Everybody knows the season and the right time. The lilacs bloom and morels are coming, things like that. So for me, it's also kind of cool to just know all of the wonders that are around you and things that you walk past a million times, and to watch people walk past it and know, like, I could take that and I could make them food with it and they wouldn't even know that 2 minutes ago it was right there.
Mhm.
So for me, that's kind of where all of this came from. I wanted to make it approachable and at the same time showcase what you can do with these foods.
Yeah. And like from your research, finding that, fishing and foraging was more common like in this area, were there what were like some ingredients that kind of like stood out to you that were more common like along this like St. Croix region?
That actually came from rewatching the Top Chef episode.
Okay.
Just when they opened up, when they first started talking about it, I remember the feeling of kind of sympathy I had for the chefs going into this, not knowing like they're going to open this door and I can't use any of the things that I'm used to using to build flavors and everything else. And then when they opened that pantry, I was like, oh, that totally makes sense. Why is this something that would make me afraid? It's things that I see all the time, all the
Mhm.
different squashes, all the different grains. I mean, all these things that are commonplace, but people don't put the Indigenous foods label on them. They don't think that when they see it. Yeah, and it's just it was funny to see them react when they opened. They're like, oh, okay, and everybody kind of had a sigh of relief of, oh, this isn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. And that's where I think something like this is really important, and something like that episode of Top Chef is important. People look at change in different things, and things that they're not familiar with as scary things. And what I hope and we can achieve a little bit with this, like Anne said, of reaching one person or two people, is just kind of destigmatizing the fear behind new things. Like, these are things that people culturally in this region have eaten for hundreds of years. And guess what? You've also eaten them. You
Yeah.
don't understand the ties that it has to the past and to the ancestors of the land, but you know the food. So what's there to be afraid of?
Mhm. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and for Lindy, they can kind of dive a little bit deeper into like these ingredients with her work. Can you just tell us more about the Potawatomi Forest County farm near Leona, and just how that all got started in your work?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me. So in 2016, the Potawatomi tribe did a feasibility study. We were formerly a Red Deer Ranch, and the study was to convert it to a full functioning farm. So our main mission is providing natural, sustainable fruits and vegetables and animal proteins for the tribal community and surrounding community. So we kind of took that concept and just ran with it since 2016. We've been growing and growing ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you guys have like special events? Is it open for tours? So people can learn about the
Yeah. Yep.
doing?
We have 9 full-time employees here, and the things that we do with that small of a staff is just amazing. You know, we have the animals, we have bison, beef cattle, Idaho pasture pigs, and chickens. All of them are either grass-fed, free range, you know, and just seeing all these wonderful animals and this environment that we have and the things that we create with them, it's absolutely amazing. So, you know, we have a state-of-the-art aquaponics facility where we can grow fruits, or excuse me, vegetables and produce all year round, mainly lettuce right now. Hopefully that'll change. We also have hoop houses where we are able to extend our growing season outside, and our maple sugar shack, which is also state of the art, and it's just amazing. Future plans to extend that as well and expand. But we open the full facility up during our summer season to the community. We have public walking tours every Wednesday, and those we take you through everything that we have to offer on the farm. So, you know, we take you into our orchard where we have the bees and the chickens and the peas where, excuse me, the bees, chickens in the orchard, where they all work together to support each other. You know, the chickens eat the pests that might harm the fruit trees, and, you know, the bees pollinate the trees. And it's just, we're able to provide all of this without any pesticides, without any chemicals, and just using what nature is providing. It's amazing just to see all of this and be a part of it. And then to share it with the public, share it with our communities, our tribal members. You know, Anne had touched upon, you know, keeping the community healthy, and that's our goal. How can we do that sustainably? And how can we take care of our tribal members for future generations? You know, that 7th generation, we always keep in mind.
Yeah, that's awesome. That sounds like it. I want to visit it. It sounds so cool. Just like different things you have to offer. Yeah. Are there any expansions or additional growth plans like being considered at the moment? It sounds like you already have a lot on your hands. So,
We
but
do,
just thinking of the future.
and like I said, it's become kind of our tagline is we're always growing,
Mhm.
either in the ground, or physically. I ran across a picture of our facility. It was a Google image from 2014, and I recognized a silo. That was it. The rest of it has changed so incredibly since then that it's just amazing. We started an expansion on our aquaponics facility that started last fall, and that took us from, let's see, we started with just shy of 5,000 heads, so around 4,700 heads of lettuce that we were able to grow in capacity in our greenhouse. And our expansion took that up to 7,000. And that was step one of a three-step expansion. So hopefully by the end of the whole expansion process, we will be up to 4,000 heads of lettuce that we are able to grow at full capacity. So just being able to provide the fresh greens year round
Mhm.
and being locally, we harvest those for the tribal elder food boxes that Anne mentioned. Those are in there every week. So our elders get a taste of what lettuce is supposed to taste like. And and then, future hopes of expanding that greenhouse and being able to grow tomatoes and cucumbers. And we tried ground cherries in there last year. So just the different varieties of things that we can hopefully grow year round and have fresh for not only the elders and the tribal boxes, those kind of programs that we work with, but also just the community and keeping everyone healthy. But
Yeah.
specifically, the tribal members. That's where the root of all we do is.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so great. And for both Anne and Lindy, can you describe what other Wisconsin tribes have or are creating in the way of unique native foods, practices, businesses, and things along those lines?
And I'll let you go first if you.
Oh, the Menominee Nation has a few chefs, and also I'm not aware of all the programs that they have, but I do know at the Menominee Nation College that they have there that they have a really nice program and a really nice garden there. They have uh, food market, the farmers market that they have there. I think it's on Wednesdays. And Oneida Nation also has a couple orchards and farm and chefs, and they have a lot of good things going on. And I haven't really visited a whole lot of other tribes as of late, but I do know that they have. Oh, and then there are also some really awesome individual Oneidas that have their own farmsteads that are growing, just exponentially. And they're good friends of ours, and practically, like family. And they're another way that we source some of our corn, beans, squash, eggs, all these different things, whatever it is that they're growing. We're always trying to work together to see how we can help each other out. So I think it's really interesting if you would research those individual farmsteads that they're doing. They're not even like funded through the tribe. They're individual families doing it on their own, and they're like an inspiration. The vibe on their farm is just like it's fun and exciting. And then one thing that Lindy didn't mention, what at their farm in Leona, is they have a really awesome compost system over there. And then also this mobile chicken coop that goes around and fertilizes, and it's the coolest thing because I took that tour a couple years ago, and I was just like taking pictures like everywhere because it was just, I don't know, I'm a nerd, this kind of stuff excites me. It's fun.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. I have a picture of a mobile chicken coop like in my brain, but I feel like I need to see it in
Yep.
person. So
Yeah, it
that's
is.
so
It's
cool.
kind of amazing that our chickens live in the solar powered, basically their own little facility that it's all mobilized. We move it once a day, one length throughout the orchard. And again, everything out there helps each other out. And um, but to touch back on some of the things I know other tribes are doing, we have a storefront here where we support some of the other tribes. I just recently had a conversation with the Oneida Cannery of getting some of their products in our store. Things that were in the tribal elder food boxes that our tribal members have been asking for. So we're going to be carrying, some strawberry drink and some of their tea kits and just things like that, and supporting other tribes working in collaboration. Um, we have the Sakagan tribe that's very close to us, and we carry their wild rice. Some of their tribal members sell to us. So just how we can all work together and support the same cause that we're all fighting for. So
Yeah, yeah, that's so cool to see it all throughout the state. It's just
yes.
yeah, that's amazing.
Yep. Well, and Rick had mentioned the trout from Red Cliff. We're working with them as well. They have amazing fish company. So we toured that facility recently, and it's so cool what they do there.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. That's very, very cool. Yeah, this has all been amazing. I just have one final question for you all. Is there anything that you are all looking forward to with this year's Riverfest, be it your respective events or just something you're excited to try, eat or wise, or just see? So anyone want to take it away?
I personally am just excited for the whole thing. It's going to be the first year that I feel like I can step away and kind of be a part of all of it on Saturday. So for me, that's the biggest thing for me, is just seeing all of it and being a part of it.
Very cool.
I would have to agree with Rick. Um, for me, it's being able to meet more people. I love connecting with people. Any way that Wild Berries can develop more partnerships, like we're going to with the co-op and with Rick and everybody at Riverfest. And I really appreciate the Ho Chunk involvement. So thank you on behalf of my people for reaching out to us. Um, it'll be nice to share our culture, and especially opening it up to indigenous foods. And like we talked about, seeing the chefs on Top Chef, is just representation matters, and this is allowing us a platform to just trumpet all the exciting things that are going on with the indigenous food sovereignty movement, and how much it means, and how much more credibility that we're building, and just seeing more natives out there talking about food is just exciting, and it's our time. So thanks for helping us be able to do that.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome.
I totally agree with Anne. That's what I'm most excited about, is the exposure. And this is nothing new, but we need to go back to traditional ways of doing things, and getting people excited about being healthy, eating non-processed foods, taking care of ourselves and our communities.
Mhm. Yeah, that's so cool. I'm excited to attend as well, eat all the goodies, learn more, and be inspired just like by the like different ingredients and yeah, I don't know. I'm pumped after talking to you all. Thanks again for all three of you for me to take the time to chat with us and with the River Channel. For Western Wisconsin Journal, I'm Caitlin Doolittle.